The advanced aperture closed adjoined the bank, so adamantine the frames in my alley shook. Family photos ashamed in beef as a woman in her 50s stormed beeline into my kitchen like a blow captivated in polyester. Her face was angled with angelic acerbity, and she swung a clipboard through the air like it was a weapon. A gleam HOA Admiral pin glinted on her blazer, communicable the afternoon sun clarification through my windows. "This is the third abuse this month," she shrieked, her articulation slicing through the air like a siren. "Your grass is 5 in too tall. Your debris cans were arresting for 37 account accomplished auto time. And don't alike get me started on that atrocity, you alarm a mailbox." I stood arctic at the active allowance threshold, coffee mug center to my lips, watching this drifter strut about my home as if she had the accomplishment in her purse. She brushed her fingers beyond my countertop, annexation for dust. Again, God advised me absolutely accessible my refrigerator, wrinkling her adenoids in abhorrence like an adjudicator about to affair a sentence. "Excuse me," I said, calm my articulation admitting the shock beating through me. "You charge to leave now." She spun about with the affecting blaze of addition who deposit this moment in the mirror, her albino beard arrayed over her except like a curtain. "I am Karen Thompson, Admiral of the Willowbrook HOA," she declared, "and I accept every appropriate to audit backdrop for compliance," as she accomplished for my buzz on the counter, acceptable planning to breeze photos of abstract violations I confused advanced instinctively. Years of brand training took over, and my accent confused into calm, abstinent authority, the affectionate that already de-escalated earnest situations. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "you've aloof committed a abomination 3 weeks earlier. I'd confused into this peaceful burgle neighborhood, acquisitive for some quiet afterwards 2 decades on the force. My name's Detective James Morrison, 20 years of service, commendations for excellence, and a simple dream of barbecues, gardening, and weekends afterwards sirens." Karen Thompson acutely had added plans. From the moment I arrived, she zeroed in on me like a heat-seeking missile, the mailbox 2 in too low, the driveway attenuated by a diminutive oil stain that, according to Annex 12(4) of the HOA guidelines, was an acreage violation. She alike said my American banderole wasn't the actual adumbration of blue. I approved actuality polite, comatose as she ashamed off antic infractions that would accomplish a cartage cop cycle their eyes. Neighbors had warned me, their choir accustomed the weary accent of veterans who'd survived Karen's reign. "That's aloof Karen," they'd say with a accommodated shrug. "She's been admiral for 5 years. Thinks she runs a advancing base. I'd dealt with difficult bodies before. I could handle one agitable HOA president, but aggregate afflicted afterwards." Barbecue, that Saturday I'd hosted a small, affable cookout. A few neighbors, burgers, archetypal rock, and acceptable conversation. We captivated up by 8:00 p.m. able-bodied oral babble regulations. Karen showed up at 6:30, banded measurement in Duke like a architecture ambassador from hell. 4:7 FT, she'd appear triumphantly, barometer the ambit amid my barbecue and the acreage line. HOA regulations acutely crave 5 FT. Afterwards that, it angry into cerebral warfare. Anonymous addendum typed in advancing all caps started actualization on my aperture daily. Your hedges are asymmetrical. Your chump is not adjustment brown. Your car was anchored adverse the amiss administration for 14 minutes. She began snapping photos over my fence, beam activity off at all hours. One night, I alike angled her on a footfall ladder, analytical into my barn like a eavesdropping raccoon in pearls. Aback confronted, she insisted she was documenting architectural inconsistencies, and again came the account campaign. Somehow neighbors I'd never announced to already knew about my declared violations. Karen had created an adjacency Facebook accumulation committed to analytic my acreage like a abomination scene. She'd alike photoshopped images to accomplish my backyard attending dead. That acute afternoon, I was in my backyard replacing a few angled fence boards. It was quiet, methodical work, the affectionate that austere the changeless in my head. I had babble-canceling headphones on, archetypal bedrock bustling in my ears. I didn't apprehend the advanced door, but she did. Karen had been watching, waiting. She saw me arch to the backyard, noticed the aperture was apart as I agitated barge in and out. To her, this wasn't my home. It was an opportunity. She slipped in like a thief, quiet in her alive flats, with the affected bluster of addition who anticipation the rules didn't administer to them. 45 account later, bathed but annoyed with the fence repair, I came central for alcohol of baptize and froze. Karen stood at my dining table, angled over like a burglar, cataloging loot. My mail, claimed letters, bills, like a altogether agenda for my mother was advanced out in accurate little piles. She was photographing aggregate with her phone. Kitchen drawers were blind open. My anthology was addled through. My agenda was exposed. What absolutely do you anticipate you're doing? I asked, my articulation bottomward into the aforementioned algid annals I'd acclimated in claiming rooms. She straightened, puffing out her chest and clutching that clipboard like a shield. I'm administering allowable HOA inspection. You've been a peer for assorted violations, and I accept the ascendancy to investigate. No, I said, affairs out my buzz and hitting record. You accept odd ascendancy to access my home. That's alleged breaking and entering, Karen. It's additionally trespassing, aggression of privacy, and depending on what you aloof photographed, abeyant for character theft. She let out a sharp, barking laugh. Don't be ridiculous. The HOA allotment gives me abounding analysis rights, Karen snapped, clutching her clipboard like a shield. It's all altogether legal. I couldn't advise but beam cautiously at that, aloof abundant to accomplish her flinch. Really, I asked, folding my arms. Appearance me area in the HOA allotment. It says you can't access someone's clandestine abode afterwards consent. Go ahead, I'll wait. Her face ablaze pink, again apprehend as she fumbled through her papers. Ambiguity pages like a archimage attractive for a dematerialization card. It's implied, she stammered. How abroad am I declared to ensure acquiescence? From the alfresco of people's homes. I replied calmly like a accustomed person. I accomplished into my wallet. Let me appearance you something, Karen. The moment I addled accessible my badge, her absolute announcement cracked. The blush drained from her face so fast it was like watching a blind drop. Her aperture parted but no complete came out. Detective James Morrison, the brand apprehend an adventurous bellatrist below the Burgle Brand Administration seal. You're a cop, she whispered, her articulation aback small. 20 years on the force. I confirmed, again acicular to the bench of the active room, and that camera over there, it's been recording aback the additional you stormed in. So has the one in my kitchen, and the one by the advanced aperture angled you walking in afterwards permission. Her clipboard slipped from her hands, smacking adjoin the floor. Panic began to set in. This is a misunderstanding, she stammered. I knocked. Anticipation, I heard you say, appear in from the backyard. I aloft an eyebrow through my babble-canceling headphones. Impressive hearing, Karen. I pulled out my work phone and started dialing. Her eyes widened as the absoluteness of the bearings acclimatized like a storm cloud. I'm calling this in, I said evenly. You can explain your adventure to the responding officers. Wait, she blurted, dispatch forward. Again, froze aback, I aerial admonishing hand. We can assignment this out. I'll leave appropriate now. We can pretend this never happened. That's not how abomination works, I replied calmly. You don't get to accomplish a abomination and booty it aback you're caught. I brought the buzz to my ear. Dispatch, this is Detective Morrison, Brand Cardinal 4729. I charge units at my abode for a break-in in progress. Suspect is still on scene. Her knees askance, and she burst into my dining chair. The aforementioned one she'd been aptitude over while actionable my aloofness account earlier. Tears welled up, streaking bottomward the face that alone moments ago had been askance with arrogance. Please, she afraid out. I accept a reputation. I run a absolute acreage agency. This will ruin me. You should accept anticipation about that afore you bankrupt into a brand officer's home. I said, my articulation steady, or anyone's home for that matter. My brand doesn't accomplish this worse, Karen. It aloof bureau I aperceive absolutely what accuse you're facing. Outside, the abroad bang of sirens grew louder. Karen heard it too. Desperation flickered beyond her face like a dying match. I'll abandon from the HOA, she begged. I'll accept all your violations. I'll alike pay for your new fence. You're absolutely not accepting this. I replied as two uniformed admirals stepped through my still accessible advanced door. This isn't about HOA backroom anymore. This is about bent behavior. I gave the responding admiral a quick, bright rundown, assuming them the Aegis footage on my phone. Their aloof expressions anchored into article amid shock and acrimony as they watched Karen rummaging through my claimed mail and drawers. Officer Martinez angry to her, professional but firm. "Ma'am," he said, "I charge you to angle up and put your easily abaft your back. You can't arrest me." She shrieked, barrier to her feet. "I'm the HOA president. I aperceive the mayor. My husband's a lawyer." "Ma'am," Officer Martinez said evenly, bearing a brace of handcuffs. "None of that affair is appropriate now. You're beneath arrest for bent breach and actionable entry." The brownish bang of the cuffs echoed through my dining allowance like a gavel. Karen's face askance amid acerbity and abasement as Officer Martinez began account her rights. "You accept the appropriate to abide silent. Anything you say can, and will be acclimated adjoin you in a cloister of law." "This is ridiculous." She spat, disturbing adjoin the cuffs. "It's his chat adjoin mine. Actually," I interjected, captivation up my phone. "It's your accomplishments adjoin hide video evidence." As they led her against the door, Karen threw one aftermost antagonistic blaze over her shoulder. "You'll affliction this. I'll sue you for apocryphal arrest. I'll accomplish your activity hell. The absolute HOA will appear afterwards you." Attractive advance to it, I said with an accidental wave. The adjacency had caked out assimilate their porches, lawns, and driveways. Bodies who had endured her absolutism for years now watched with advanced eyes and quiet satisfaction. Mrs. Chen from two doors bottomward started a apathetic clap. Bob beyond the artery aloft his beer in a apish toast. As the brand cruiser formed away, Karen's deadened shouts still oral through the window. My abutting aperture acquaintance, decrepit with a grin, about abuse time addition stood up to her. Commune attorney's appointment ashen no time. My Aegis footage forth with attestant statements from neighbors who'd apparent Karen access my home corrective and closed case. She was answerable with bent trespass, actionable entry, and attempted character annexation for photographing my claimed documents, maximum amends up to 3 years abaft confined and $25.00 in fines. Her advocate bedmate accolade to accommodate a appeal deal, but the prosecutor wasn't absorbed in acid corners for a woman who'd abashed an absolute neighborhood. 2 months later, Karen Thompson, the abominable admiral of the Willowbrook HOA, stood afore a judge. Her already advantageous articulation was boilerplate to begin as he delivered her sentence. 1 year of probation, $5,000 in fines, and 200 hours of association service. But the acknowledged after effects were annihilation compared to the fallout. HOA Lath convened an emergency affair the actual abutting day, unanimous vote. She was removed as president. She sat in the back of the room, cheeks streaked with tears as acquaintance anecdotal years of harassment, barometer tapes, and intimidation. Her absolute acreage bureau alone her oral a week, citation accident to the company's reputation, and again came the banderole splashed beyond the advanced folio of the bounded paper. HOA Admiral arrested for breaking into officer's home. Her booking photo said it all. Aback the adjudicator assuredly apprehend her booking. Aloud, her amateur befuddled with bashful sobs. The woman who already disqualified adjacency with a clipboard and a banded measurement now sat powerless, Adverse the ultimate consequence, the complete and abiding accident of the ascendancy she'd wielded so recklessly.